Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FEE3 interview showcase for Fire Emblem The Hag and White. I have with me the game's lead dev, St. Rubenio. Say hi.
Hi.
And we're just going to talk a little bit about his project. We're going to go over some of how the game works and some insights into how it might have been developed over time.
I do enjoy talking about myself and my work.
It's a good thing you do, or the interview would be a little boring.
Mm.
All right. Let's start with the most basic question, though. What is Hag and White? How would you describe the game?
Well, I guess the most basic thing would be that the Hag in White is a game where there is a hag and she's dressed in white.
That's
And
crazy. I never would have
serious
guessed.
answer, serious answer would be that it's a world where healing magic is largely forgotten, forbidden, heretical, whatever you want to call it. And suddenly your main character meets a woman with a heal staff, and hijinks ensue.
I know that you've completed a couple projects before, but I know, or at least I've seen that it seems to be the case that Hag is somewhat larger and more involved than a lot of those. How does Hag and White differ from your previous completed works?
Well, for one, it's not a redux. All of my previous projects were largely based on vanilla games. Like my previous project was Darkstone, in which you play as the bad guys from Magvel. In the one before that, Exax, I don't even know how to pronounce my own thing.
Neither do I.
You play as Sephiel through FE6, and before then I made a rebalance, like everyone else. And High White is my first custom project, and primarily it's like I wanted it to, I wanted to be free, so to
Right?
speak. Like the Redux format just felt so stifling at this point. Like just as an example, like I've mentioned this a few times before in threads and stuff, but like every time I wanted to have a female character in one of my boss hacks, it was a whole ordeal because there's like no women as enemies in Fire Emblem. So I had
Yeah.
to sort of fanfic a female character from background characters, and it was a whole mess. And even then, I just have a massive sausage fest. And it just feels so freeing to be able to say, well, I want this character to be a girl, I want her to be like this class, I want her to do this, I want her to do that, and I can just do it. I have all the power.
Yeah. In a similar vein to that question, I'm curious, were there any like lessons or ideas, anything that you took from those early projects that you think sort of influenced Hag and White or made it into the final project or something along those lines?
Well, I might struggle to come up with any specific examples, but I would describe my hacking careers, for lack of a better term, as a sort of learning experience. Like I just generally learned a lot from making like my original rebalance. I know there's people who like it. I think at this point it was a good learning experience. I learned a lot of lessons from the things that I did and the things that were not so good. Let's not sugarcoat it. And the same goes for the second game and third one. From me, I learned a lot of things that people don't like, and I knew to be like I knew to temper my. I try to restrain myself sometimes in some regards, I suppose. Although, of course, it's a little different because with my Reduxes, I was mingling with characters that people knew and loved, and now I was just creating my own. So it's not quite the same thing, of course. But to be honest, the reason it took me this long to make a fully custom hack was that I was terrified of map design. Like that was the primary reason. That's why we did so many Reduxes because I didn't have to handle the map design.
Yeah, map design can
Although
get
again,
complicated.
yeah, although again, it had started to feel a little stifling. Like when I was making Darkstone and I got to Darkling Woods, to be completely honest, I just gave up. I have no idea how to improve on that map.
God damn it. Darkling
Like
Woods
people
is
can attest
so
to that. Like
bad.
I've gone into this before. Like I just sort of put a few stealables here and there so people wouldn't just work speed keep it hopefully. And then when I was testing the hack, I did work speed it myself because I did not want to deal with it.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
that's where I was on map design before I started with hack. But like it was about time, honestly. I needed to brave that challenge, and I still don't think I'm amazing at map design, but well, it seems to have done the job for most people, so at least there's that.
I'm curious, were there a lot of challenges like that for Hag and White? Like things that you hadn't really gotten a chance to practice or hone on your previous projects that now Hag and White had you having to do? Because like you just
Well,
mentioned map design being something that you never really had to delve into and had to sort of learn with Hag and White. I'm curious if there are other things like that as well.
no, to be honest, that was the primary thing. For the most part, everything else I did learn. Like my previous Redux, especially Darkstone, they were pretty heavy on the Redux. Like I altered a lot of things. And I've gotten my fair share of practice at writing characters, writing in general cutscenes, portraits, I've even done some animation edits and stuff. So like generally, hack I would say is the culmination of everything I learned in my previous hacks. Except again for the map design, which was something I had to learn for this one because previously I had been too cowardly to actually tackle it. I
Cowardly.
did make a couple of original maps for my first rebalance for Princess Lament, but honestly, the less is said about those maps, the better.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, were there any like major inspirations for Hag and White and its design? I know you mentioned it has does it only have one healer? What sort of inspired decisions like that?
Well, for a while between Darkstone and Hag, I was in a bit of a conundrum, so to speak. Like I was wondering if I wanted my next thing to be a hack or if I wanted to make the jump to like trying to make a fully fledged video game. I even bought RPG Maker at one point, but I didn't end up doing anything with it. Maybe one day. Anyway, the point is, if I was going to make another hack, and I really wanted to make one because working with heavy builders is a lot of fun, to be honest. uh, I wanted to, so to speak, to take advantage of the fact that it's a Fire Emblem hack. Like, obviously, I'm not going to claim that I revolutionized Fire Emblem hacking or anything like that, but I wanted to sort of play with conventions of the series and whatnot. And of course, well, what's more taken for granted in Fire Emblem than healing? Like, we get our healers in Chapter 1 usually, and if not, it's Chapter 2, Chapter 3. And that happens in pretty much everything, from ROM hacks to official games to adjacent games like the Kaga games and stuff. We always get our healers, so that struck me as a neat thing to like see what if I take that from the players, sort of. What if I try to pull the rug under the players, so to speak?
It's
Of course,
interesting.
it's primarily done with staves, at least at first glance, but it's something that's very pervasive, I guess, in throughout the whole hack. Like, I like to play a lot with certain tropes, certain conventions. Just mix things up a little, I guess.
Yeah, that's really fun. I really like that.
I'm glad.
I feel like a lot of Fire Emblem projects really like to style themselves more like, oh, we're trying to do, our personal version of Fire Emblem. So I actually find it kind of interesting to have a project that's more like, I want to break some of that Fire Emblem mold and do something different this time. That's really interesting.
Mhm.
So I've seen a lot of buzz around Hag of White lately. It's sort of the talk of the town, I feel like. How does it feel to be on the receiving end of that much positive attention?
Well, to be completely honest, I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that I'm apparently a big name in the community now. Like, I don't know. I just started making a rebalance for fun a couple years ago. This is not what I was expecting it to lead to. I'm super happy with the reception of this hack. To be honest, like so many kind words, so many cool impressions. Like it's honestly mind blowing.
That's really
It's maybe
sweet.
a little cliche, but yeah, I'm so happy. Honestly, it's
Nice.
it fills me with pride. It keeps just inflating my ego. One of these days, I'm going to take off flying. I swear. Like every time I think that I'm getting used to it, like yeah, I'm awesome. That's just the way it is apparently. And then someone will say, hey, I found a random Reddit post in some subreddit that has nothing to do with video games, let alone fan games, and they will mention you, and I'm like, what? No, that's not possible. That's
That's
not how
kind of
things
crazy,
work.
yeah.
That's not supposed to happen. What do you mean? It's mind blowing, honestly.
You broke the ROM hacker glass ceiling. You did it. You've broken into the mainstream.
I don't know how, but sure.
Well, I'm curious. What were your goals for Hag and White? I know you talked about wanting to break some of the conventions, but
Mhm.
in terms of like things like gameplay rhythm or major, things like that, what were you trying to accomplish with Hag?
Well, primarily now that I had all the power, I wanted to make a game for me, so to speak. Like, and there are certain things, there are certain tropes, certain conventions, like I said before, in Fire Emblem, in both gameplay and story that, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but I've always been like, what if, for instance, what's something that's not very spoilery, I guess. Well, I mean, everyone at this point knows about Lopez, I guess. Like the early game brigands in my hack, I love myself a good bossman. Like, I mean, obviously I made 2 hacks about them. I love myself a good ugly goober who's like evil and does evil things. And of course, now that I have all the power, I decided what would be a great idea? Oh, I know. Let's just make all the brigands recruitable and cool and awesome and wholesome and friends. And yeah,
That's really cute.
and then I went ahead and did it. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do with this game. I just wanted to have my fun, do things my way, and just sort of make a game that only I would make. I mean, that's a little presumptuous, but
No, I think
yeah,
that's totally
that's
fair.
more or less what I wanted to do when I set out. Like that's how we ended up with so many, so many characters that wouldn't fly in any other, in any other protagonist army. Kara has a lot of patience.
Well, looking at our next question here, I feel like you've already answered it with some of the discussion before. So instead of asking you what sets your game apart from its peers, I think I want to follow up on that idea about you're talking about really liking like a good villain. Do you think Hag as a project has like a villain focus in its writing at all?
Well, it's yes or no, I guess. Like, I've been told before, and it's true that a lot of the villains aren't exactly super developed. But that's because when it came to the villains, I wanted to keep a sort of focus on the main players, obviously. And well, I don't know if in the interview it's going to be visible, but my PFP in Discord right now is Sandra Odiga. And I mostly wanted to focus on her and the like 1 or 2 other major villains. Here's the thing: I love writing villains. Like, writing comically and apologetically evil people is a fucking joy.
It's so
Sorry
fun.
about the swear.
I don't think anyone
It's
minds.
so fun. Like writing Sandralio was the most fun part of this project, like without a doubt. And yeah, I definitely tried to have more of a presence than FE villains perhaps usually have. But even beyond the overt villains, like there's a lot of characters in Hag. People who are familiar with Hag will know that there's a lot of more gray people in Kara's army. Like Kara picks up corrupt nobles, she picks up brigands, she picks up actual murderers, a conman. Like she picks up a lot of people who aren't exactly good because I mean I wish I could say that it was making some kind of deep, profound point about like the necessity of pragmatism and how she needed to make sacrifices to fight the behemoth that she was up against and everything. And I mean, to an extent, that's certainly true, but I kind of just love my unapologetically assholes. They're
No, I
just fun to
completely
write.
get it.
Like, we'll go into this later with one of the other questions, but it's also part of one of my main inspirations for Hag.
God, I love a good villain. Actually, some of the most fun writing I've ever done is just like, here's the worst guy ever.
Yeah, no, yeah. Evil bastards are so much fun to
They're
write.
so
Like
awesome.
they have the most fun in the world. Like
No one else loves life like them.
nope, no one else loves life quite like an irredeemable monster.
Well, um, another thing I mentioned before, I've seen a lot of buzz around Hagen White. And the good news is, I feel like people like basically every part of the project. I know a lot of buzz about the whole thing. But I feel like the
More or
part that
less, yeah.
people tend to be the most excited about, and maybe I'm biased in noticing this, is the story. People really, really, really talk about the story in Hagen White a lot and really seem to enjoy it. What is it you think you did that resonated so well with so many players?
I mean, to be honest, like I said before, I just made a story for me. I made a story I thought it was fun for me to write. Like I wrote characters I enjoyed. I went against the grain in conventions and tropes where I enjoyed them. Like I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but yeah, I
Yeah.
try to do some certain things differently for me for things I would enjoy. And beyond that, I guess it's just that not to toot my own horn, but I'm good at writing. Like that's not just me trying to claim that I'm some kind of amazing prodigy. Like I've had a lot of practice writing at this point. I wrote a lot of things in my time, mostly as ancillary stuff, I guess, for other things that I did online. Most all of it very silly, all of it very, very not great. But everyone has to get started somewhere. And at this point, I guess I've just gained the practice I needed to be, I guess, above average at writing, perhaps.
Hmm.
And yeah, beyond that, I try to make my story stand out a little by breaking tropes, breaking conventions and stuff, trying to, and most importantly, by not holding back. Like this is one thing that again, not to go into spoilers, but I really think Fire Emblem needs to be more ballsy about killing playable characters. Like nothing hits quite so hard as having this one character that you love, that you're super invested into, that you're trained, that you fully intend to kill the final boss with, and then they're just ripped apart away from you. Nothing hits quite so hard as that.
I am player death strongest soldier. I have been screaming this from the rooftop for like 5 years. I feel like
It's
people
something that
people played Birthright and had Kaze fall off the cliff that one time, and they were like, killing player units is irredeemably bad because they looked at this game that did it bad and decided that it
That's
can't be
exactly the
done
thing.
better. And I'm so mad about it because I feel like there's such
Yeah,
interesting things you can do with that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's exactly the thing. Like they bring up the Fire Emblem examples, but the thing is, Fire Emblem examples are just bad. Fire Emblem has not done unit dev well.
The horrible
But
secret nobody
remember
wants to
Earth?
admit. Oh
Remember
yeah.
Earth in Final Fantasy VII? How about that? That's like the Darth Vader of video game plot twists.
Yeah.
And that was a player unit dev. How was that?
A
It
far
didn't
more
ruin the game for
significant
anyone.
one too.
And like to bring it back to Three Houses spoilers, if that's important. But how much harder would Gerald's death have hit if Gerald was actually playable and you had actually gotten support with him and you had actually gotten invested in him throughout the game and then they ripped him apart from you? That one hits so much harder. Like, instead, the game is just, oh yeah, here's Dad. He's not playable for some reason, but we're totally not going to kill him later.
Yeah, it's like a
And then
bit
when
of
he died, I was like, yeah, they did it. There he
it's
was. There we go.
not to use a buzzword, but it's some gameplay story integration
Yeah.
to do that kind of thing because then you actually feel that loss, not just in terms of the genuine story loss, which is obviously important and significant, but also in the gameplay sense, you feel that character's absence. The fact that they are missing is relevant to you as a player and as a participant in the plot. I think it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, just a couple more questions to go here.
Hmm.
And the last couple questions are pretty simple. What is your favorite part of your project? I like this question. This
Uh,
question's really fun.
chapter 16,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Like, I can pinpoint the exact chapter. I had so much fun with that chapter. Like, the chapter title is Treason,
Mm-hmm.
and in many ways, it's where the story reaches its midpoint climax. Like, it's where a lot of plot points peak, like, where a lot of things come to a head. Sandradigas all over the chapter, and a lot of things happen in that chapter. And it was so much fun making that chapter just as a whole. Like I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before, that Sandradiga is my favorite character in the game, and that writing her was the best part of it. But if I had to pinpoint a specific part, it's chapter 16. Chapter 16 was just so enjoyable, and I wish I could talk more about it, but it's like spoiler central. So like, I
If
can't
you want to know
exactly.
more, you'll just have to go to
Yeah,
FEU and download a Hag and White. The Hag and White. No, I got it wrong. Oh,
there's only
the.
one of them, or is there?
Oh,
Maybe there's two hacks in
oh, I have
white.
an idea for a sequel for you. The Hags in White. It's like 102
Hacking out.
Dalmatians. All
Oh
right.
my god.
So, for people who might be interested in checking out the game after this interview, how many chapters is your project? Because that can be a deciding factor for a lot of people, I think.
It's between 25 and 30 chapters. I want to be like too precise, but yeah, it's like something in that ballpark. Like basically around the length of Fates,
Hmm.
I suppose. The game does have a post game. Like I made 10 chapters of a post game
Ooh.
for no particular reason beyond I wanted to hack more.
Hey, that's the
I
best
wanted
reason
to
of
do more
all.
hacking, and I decided let's make some post-game content that no one is ever going to play. People have played it, honestly, but not everyone, but some people have played it, and I'm so happy for them. But yeah, I just made a really silly post-game in the spirit of Valkyrie Profile's Seraphic Gate, where I basically just take a piece out of my own story and setting and characters. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, the main part of the game is 20-something chapters, more or less the length of an average Fire Emblem Fates. Shorter than 6, around the length of, more or less that.
And lastly, are there any closing remarks that you might want to make that weren't covered by any of our questions here?
Well, I never did get to talk about like the inspirations for hack, and primarily there were two. Like there's the Kaga Saga games, like your Verwix Saga, Vestaria Saga, Tearing less so bad. I mean, yeah, when Kaga's not being so Kaga, they're pretty good games. And there are a lot of concepts from them that I enjoy. Like there's a few things that I'm honestly going to admit I just shamelessly stole. Like
Awesome.
there's the closing of a certain chapter, which a lot of people are like, wow, this is cool. How did this happen? This thing that happened is so cool. It's so weird. And I was like, yeah, that's a thing from Berwick Saga. And chapter 22 of the game, it's the big city siege, and it's basically me trying to make my own take of a certain map concept that appears in Vestaria Saga in the two games actually. And the other inspiration I mentioned it before is Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Bloom. Specifically, that game is a franchise, but that game specifically is a DS strategy game. And I was inspired by it in more than a few ways. Like that's a game that does not hold back either. Like,
right.
I don't want to go too into it because, well, play Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Bloom, everyone. But the game already in the prologue just hits you in the feels already. Like it does. It opens big. And then the main mechanic of that game is that you have to use the titular plume to kill your friends to gain power. And there's all sorts of plot points written around that and routes and stuff. And there's one character in particular who's called Fornell, who is this horrible, slimy noble who is the best character in the game. And I made 3 of him for my hack. And this week, who are just that guy. He was too much fun.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, that was my primary inspirations for the hack. And beyond that, I guess I honestly don't know exactly what I would say. I think we've been pretty thorough with the interview.
That just means I did a good job.
I would just say that it's still incredibly funny to me how everyone thinks they're so original because they killed the final boss with Lopez. Like, I'm pretty sure Lopez has more final boss kills than every other character in the game combined. Like, I know awesome. that was the case before release with the playtesters, and I'm pretty sure it still is. Like, that man cannot be stopped. He will steal that coin.
See, I'm always the Lord has to kill the final boss player, so I would not be among the Lopez fans. I'm such a fake fan.
I mean, that's fine. The Kara has a pretty good battle conversation with the final boss.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Hope it was fun for you as well.
I had fun too.
Yeah. I think we got a lot of really interesting stuff, I think. To anyone watching at home, you can find the description. We'll have a link to this project. You should check it out.
Give me more downloads.
Yes, more. And I will be having more of these interviews throughout the show, the show's runtime. So if you enjoyed this one, please, look forward to more interviews like this one, and enjoy the rest of your FE3. Bye-bye.
Play more hacks.
Play more hacks.
Play more hacks.